The 1980s, a time when American machines were built with purpose. No fragile electronics, no plastic dreams, just raw, heavy mechanical power, made by people who believed in endurance, not expiration dates. Before comfort took over, these were the giants that worked the land, conquered the highways, and defined an entire generation. They weren't about speed, they weren't about style. They were about lasting forever. So let's step back into the decade of diesel and determination. These are the 10 American beasts from the 1980s that were built to last forever. Number 1. International Harvester 1086, 1976 to 1981. When you talk about tractors that defined the late 70s and powered through the 80s, one name stands tall: the International Harvester 1086. This wasn't just a tractor, it was a symbol of strength during one of the toughest decades American farming had ever faced. Released in 1976 and dominating fields well into the 80s, the 1086 became a legend, not because it was flashy, but because it refused to quit. Under the hood sat the mighty DT414 turbocharged diesel engine, a 6.8-liter six-cylinder workhorse that churned out around 130 horsepower. It was simple, loud, and nearly indestructible. Farmers loved it because it could run for tens of thousands of hours with nothing more than basic maintenance. The 1086 introduced IH's deluxe cab, which was years ahead of its time. It gave operators a quiet, comfortable environment, complete with air conditioning, heat, and suspension seating, turning long harvest days into manageable shifts. It wasn't luxury, it was survival comfort for the people who fed America. One of its biggest advantages was the 16-speed torque amplifier transmission, giving farmers flexibility and smooth shifts under heavy loads. Whether pulling a heavy plow or hauling grain wagons, the 1086 had the torque and control to make every job easier. But beyond numbers and features, the IH 1086 earned a place in history for one reason: reliability. It became a staple on Midwest farms, known for its rugged frame, dependable hydraulics, and unmatched simplicity. Even today, you'll find these red machines running strong, often restored but rarely retired. Ask any farmer who grew up in that era, and they'll smile and say, the 1086 wasn't just a tractor, it was part of the family. Because when times got hard and other machines failed, the International Harvester 1086 kept on working, proving what real American iron was made of. Number 2. John Deere 4640, 1978 to 1982. In the golden age of American tractor engineering, few machines struck a balance between brute force and finesse like the John Deere 4640. Built from 1978 through 1982, this green giant became the heart of the farm for thousands of operators across the country. It represented a turning point where power met precision and durability met design. At its core was the John Deere 7.6-liter 466 turbocharged diesel, an engine that delivered around 155 to 160 horsepower and torque figures that could pull the heaviest implements with ease. But numbers don't tell the story. Endurance does, and this engine was built to go 20,000 hours or more with proper care. The 4640 featured Deere's power shift transmission, which gave farmers effortless control and the ability to shift gears on the move without losing traction or power. In the field, that meant one thing: uninterrupted productivity. Inside, the SoundGuard cab changed everything. Quiet, sealed, and comfortable, it gave farmers an escape from dust, noise, and fatigue, something that earlier generations could only dream of. It became so iconic that its design influenced tractor cabs for decades to come. Mechanics admired the 4640 for its simplicity, strong cast-iron components, accessible systems, and minimal electronics. You could fix one with wrenches, not laptops. And that's exactly why they're still working across America's farmlands today. Whether it was pulling a 12-row planter in Iowa or powering a grain auger in Kansas, the 4640 proved that Deere's reputation wasn't just marketing. It was built on real steel, sweat, and longevity. Even 40 years later, farmers still say, if it ain't green, it ain't lasting. And they're usually talking about the 4640. a tractor that embodied everything right about 1980s American engineering: durability, dependability, and pure diesel soul. Number 3. Case 2390 1978 to 1983. Before Case merged with International Harvester in 1985, it released one of the most iconic tractors of its time, the Case 2390. Built between 1978 and 1983, the 2390 represented the pinnacle of pre-merger Case power, a blend of muscle, innovation, and mechanical endurance that defined what American tractors were all about. Underneath its distinctive white and red shell was a 504 cubic inch turbocharged diesel engine, delivering around 162 horsepower and a mountain of torque. It wasn't about high revs or speed, it was about grunt, the kind of raw, reliable pulling power that made it the go-to machine for large-acre farms. Case equipped the 2390 with its legendary power-shift transmission, a 12-speed gearbox that let farmers shift without clutching, smooth, efficient, and perfect for long field days. Combined with its rock-solid rear end and hydraulic system, it could handle big implements like discs and cultivators without breaking a sweat. Inside, the 2390 gave operators something they didn't expect: comfort. The cab was wide, quiet, and sealed from dust and vibration. For farmers used to rattling open-air tractors, this felt like stepping into the future. But what really made the Case 2390 a legend was its durability. Farmers quickly realized these machines were built to take punishment day after day, year after year. Even during the tough farm economy of the 1980s, many operators held on to their 2390s because they simply couldn't find anything better for the money. Decades later, many are still out there. Their paint faded, but their engines strong. Proof that Case built tractors with purpose, not expiration dates. It wasn't the flashiest, and it didn't have the biggest badge. But in the fields of America, the Case 2390 earned something much more valuable: respect. It was, and still is, one of the toughest tractors ever to wear the Case name. Number 4. John Deere 4440. When John Deere released the 4440 in 1978, no one knew it would become the gold standard of farming through the 1980s and beyond. But it did. Because this wasn't just another tractor, it was the tractor that refused to die. Powered by a 7.6-liter turbocharged diesel engine producing around 130 horsepower, the 4440 had one purpose. And work it did, through droughts, floods, winters, and decades of non-stop field work. Its most iconic feature was the Sound Guard cab, a near-silent, dust-proof operator's space that made long days feel bearable. It sealed out heat, noise, and fatigue, a luxury unheard of in tractors of that era. The transmission was equally revolutionary. The power shift, with 8 forward and 4 reverse gears that could shift smoothly under load. Farmers didn't have to stop or lose momentum. It was simple, efficient, and bulletproof. But what truly gave the 4440 its reputation was longevity. With proper care, these tractors easily crossed 15,000 to 20,000 working hours. Mechanics often said the engines were overbuilt to survive the apocalypse. Across America, you can still find 4440s working the same fields their original owners once farmed. Some have changed hands 3 or 4 times, and they still start every morning like clockwork. It was comfortable, it was efficient, it was unbreakable. The 4440 became a symbol of trust, of honest machinery built by people who understood the value of hard work. Ask any farmer who owned one, and they'll tell you, if I could only keep one tractor for the rest of my life, it'd be my John Deere 4440. And that's not nostalgia, that's truth. Number 5. Case IH 2594. In the early 1980s, American farmers needed something different. Something that could match the new era of large-scale agriculture. That's when Case IH answered with the 2594, a tractor that embodied the words power and persistence. Launched in 1984, the 2594 wasn't just another farm machine. It was a declaration that Case IH was ready to challenge John Deere's dominance head-on. Under the hood was a 504 cubic inch 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel that pumped out around 180 horsepower. That might sound moderate by modern standards, but back then it was pure muscle. The torque curve on this beast was phenomenal, smooth, steady, and relentless. It came with the power shift transmission, a signature Case IH feature that allowed clutchless shifting on the go. No stalling, no interruptions, just seamless, unstoppable work across vast fields. What made the 2594 special was its ability to handle any implement thrown at it. Heavy plows, drills, cultivators, you name it. Its hydraulic system was equally impressive, offering precision and power that farmers trusted through long seasons. And despite its brute strength, the 2594 offered surprising comfort. The cab was wide and quiet, fitted with air conditioning, adjustable seating, and great visibility. For farmers used to noise and dust, it was like stepping into the future. The 2594 proved itself across the Midwest and beyond, working hard through the farm crisis years when many others broke down. It became a symbol of resilience, a machine that refused to quit even when times were tough. Decades later, you'll still find the Case IH 2594 in service. Red paint faded, engine still growling, a reminder that true American engineering doesn't age, it endures. Number 6. Ford TW35. If there was ever a tractor that defined rugged reliability in the 1980s, it was the Ford TW35. The TW35 was the king of Ford's TW lineup. Built between 1983 and 1989, it carried the heart of a warrior. A 401 cubic inch 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine that delivered around 190 horsepower and monstrous pulling power. Ford designed it for large farms that needed both strength and versatility. Its dual-power transmission allowed smooth shifting, while its heavy frame provided balance and stability on uneven terrain. Farmers loved how easy it was to maintain, no unnecessary electronics, just straightforward mechanical engineering that could be fixed in any workshop. Its hydraulics were powerful, reliable, and responsive, able to handle modern implements long before modern was a word anyone used for tractors. The cab, though simple by today's standards, was comfortable and efficient. The controls were well laid out, the seat was suspended, and the air system kept long days bearable. The TW35 earned its place in American fields by proving one thing: it could outlast anything. Even after tens of thousands of working hours, many still start up each morning without hesitation. Its sound, that deep, throaty Ford diesel rumble, became the soundtrack of 1980s farming. And when you saw one working under a sunset, pulling a heavy cultivator across golden fields, you understood why farmers called it Big Blue. The Ford TW35 wasn't just a machine. It was a symbol of endurance, pride, and the American farmer's will to keep going no matter what. Number 7. Allis Chalmers 8050. In the 1980s, while John Deere and Case IH battled for dominance, one company stood proudly with its own flavor of toughness, Allis Chalmers. And their brightest star was the Allis Chalmers 8050. Released in 1981, this machine carried the brand's famous orange color like a badge of honor. Underneath that paint was a tractor that could run circles around many of its rivals. The 8050 packed a 426 cubic inch turbocharged diesel, producing roughly 145 horsepower, paired with an 18-speed power director transmission. It was fast, efficient, and ready for any kind of heavy work, from tilling and planting to hauling and baling. But what set it apart was the cab comfort and design. Allis Chalmers understood that tired farmers needed relief, so they gave them the marvelous View cab. It was wide, quiet, and perfectly sealed from dust and noise, a rare luxury at the time. Hydraulically, the 8050 was ahead of its time. It had fast response draft control and lifting power that handled modern implements effortlessly. And then there was reliability. The 8050's simplicity meant it never let you down. There was no fragile computer, no complicated sensors, just clean, powerful American mechanics. Even decades later, these orange titans are still found plowing the heartland. Their owners swear by them, not just for their power, but for their personality. The Allis Chalmers 8050 might not have sold in huge numbers, but it earned the kind of loyalty that can't be bought. It was the tractor that reminded farmers that endurance doesn't come from fame. It comes from heart. Number 8. White 2155 Field Boss. If there was a tractor that defined the phrase "built to last," it was the White 2155 Field Boss. Released in 1979 and dominating through the 1980s, this silver and black beast was the pride of the White Motor Company. It wasn't flashy, it was functional. And that's exactly why farmers loved it. The 255 carried a 478 cubic inch 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel by Hercules, a powerhouse that churned out 155 dependable horsepower. It was mated to White's proven 18-speed over-under transmission, giving the tractor a level of control few others could match. It could pull, it could haul, it could grind through tough ground like it was nothing. And because it was built with heavy cast iron components and simple hydraulics, it was practically indestructible. The cab was surprisingly comfortable, quiet, spacious, and equipped with all the essentials. The layout made sense, everything was within easy reach, and the visibility was excellent. Farmers appreciated how easy it was to repair. Parts were accessible, durable, and interchangeable. Many owners did their own maintenance, something almost impossible on today's digital machines. The White 255 became a staple in the Midwest and Great Plains, reliable, steady, and tough as nails. Even now, over 40 years later, you can find many still in daily use, pulling large implements with that signature deep exhaust note. They weren't fancy, they weren't famous, but they were forever. And that's exactly why they've become one of the most respected tractors of their generation. Number 9. Versatile 875. In the 1980s, when farmers started managing massive acreages, they needed tractors that could handle serious pulling power. Enter the Versatile 875, a Canadian-built, American-loved beast that could do the work of two smaller machines. The 875 was an articulated 4WD tractor powered by a 14-liter Cummins NTC 855 turbo diesel engine, producing 280 horsepower of relentless force. It was big, bold, and beautifully simple, designed to work hard and keep working forever. Its articulation joint allowed it to pivot in the middle, giving it surprising maneuverability for its size. And because it was built with simplicity in mind, mechanical controls, steel frame, easy access engine, it became one of the most farmer-friendly machines of its time. The 875's cab offered comfort that operators appreciated: wide windows, a suspension seat, and noise insulation that made those endless hours a little easier. But what really made it famous was its reputation for indestructibility. Farmers could run it day and night through all conditions: mud, snow, dust, and it would never complain. Many of these tractors have surpassed 15,000 hours with minimal issues. The Versatile 875 proved that simplicity and strength were a winning combination. It wasn't the prettiest machine, but it didn't need to be. It was built for one thing: getting the job done. Number 10. John Deere 4955. To close the decade, John Deere built something special, something that marked the peak of mechanical engineering before electronics took over. That machine was the John Deere 4955. Produced from 1988 to 1992, this was the last great purely mechanical John Deere tractor before digital controls changed everything. It carried a 7.6-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder diesel, pumping out a commanding 200 horsepower, smooth, quiet, and unstoppable. The 4955 featured Deere's legendary power shift transmission and hydraulics, powerful enough to handle any modern implement. But what truly made it special was its reliability. Farmers called it the tractor that never dies. Its SoundGuard cab was the best in the business, whisper quiet, comfortable, and perfectly sealed. Long 12-hour days felt effortless behind that green hood. The 4955 could pull anything: plows, planters, grain carts, you name it. And it did it with style, efficiency, and grace. It was the machine that bridged generations, the last of the old-school mechanical legends and the first to hint at the modern age. Even today, when one fires up in the field, every head turns. That deep green color, the throaty exhaust, the sheer presence, it's unmistakable. The John Deere 4955 was more than just a tractor. It was a masterpiece, the final chapter in an era when American machines were built with one mission in mind: to last forever. So that's it for today. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching.